What you think?
Guys, figure it out.
I got it.
Oh my god.
Andrew.
What you think, Fred? All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while.
Every now and then we'll kind
He was already here right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Ooh, well, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Can you get your shit together?
Some technical difficulties to start the show, but we made it. We are here. Myself, Zach, Jen, Andrew backstage, the full crew, which is exciting as we head closer and closer to the end of the season. But so the two of you, obviously, we have a lot we want to get to in the show. But I feel like before we do that, there's obviously something else to address in football right now, and that's, of course, Bills safety Damar Hamlin. We all saw and have heard what happened Monday night. So just before we get into anything else, I feel like we should all just, express our thoughts and prayers to him, his family, the Bills, and obviously just wishing him a speedy recovery and hoping to hear really good news soon. So I just wanted to obviously talk about that before we get into anything else, which is obviously secondary to what's happening right now in Buffalo, or Cincinnati, I should say.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this all feels like trivial, getting on here and just talking about football. Life goes on, but it's like, there's a dude. This game we watch every fucking week. There's a guy that plays it in his second year, now fighting for his life in the hospital. I mean, it's jarring. I mean, there's really nothing really that you can say. It's just such an unfortunate thing that happened. And I know so many people were quick to attack the league, and I mean, rightfully so, because of the whole 5 minutes thing. I think that rubbed everyone the wrong way. But I mean, there's really nothing you could do to make the game safer to prevent something like that. Like, that was like a 1 in a 50 million thing. Just so it's terrible, and the fact that everybody saw it, everybody was exposed to it, and it's so unfortunate that his family had to see that. Now, I mean, like I said, there's nothing that really you can say to alleviate how people feel or what they took away from that. It's just all the one thing from this, I think, that's important is it brought everyone together. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's like this is the first time in a long time, aside from the weird anti-vax idiots that just feel like they see a cardiovascular issue and all of a sudden it's like, oh, was he vaxxed? Did he get jabbed? Yeah. Aside from that, this is one of the first times in a long time I've seen everybody just come together about something. And that's rare because football is a polarizing sport. You have so many different fans across the landscape of the league, and everybody just feels a different way about something, and everyone's so opinionated nowadays. But this one thing, everybody came together, and everybody's pulling for Damar Hamlin. And I really hope that he does wake up and he is able to be alert at some point, to just see how loved he is just across the entire landscape of the league and fans. That's that would be the best thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just seeing the whole response from the rest of the league really was pretty special, I should say. I guess, all the teams obviously tweeting out, and the foundation or his fund, his GoFundMe, I think it reached over 6 million last I saw, which is obviously pretty incredible. So again, just wishing the best to Damar Hamlin and his family, and hoping to hear some very good news very soon. But until then, as Zach kind of, mentioned, everything kind of seems weird, but we do have some things, football related, Packers related to discuss. Obviously, it was, a big Sunday, and it felt very different on Monday, but back on Sunday, big day. Jen there in person to witness it all in its glory. And I think that's where we should start in this way, so everyone can hear the aftermath of what happens when you go to a 40-point Packer game. Jen will try to blame it on something else, but we all know you see, Aaron Rodgers pull out the belt. Who's not going to get some throat injuries after that? Am I right?
Oh my
But
gosh.
I didn't say anything. But Jen, how was your experience?
No, what actually, it's so embarrassing because
What?
it's embarrassing because I didn't even lose my voice at the game. I lost my voice. Like I started to lose my voice the night before, like on New Year's Eve, while playing Mario Party with my family.
Mm,
And then I woke up on Sunday at like 6 a.m. because I was gonna go to my sister's. And then I like was talking to my future brother-in-law, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even talk. And then I thought it was maybe just like morning grogginess. And it's been like this since like Sunday. So I didn't even, like I went to the game and I'm like trying to yell and I sound like an idiot because it's like I'm like I look like I'm yelling, but like nothing is coming out. So yeah, I luckily I brought my sister who I would totally be down for that because I would kick butt. But no, so like
Yeah,
luckily my
okay.
sister who is super, extroverted and not afraid to yell, like she was yelling for two, which was awesome. So I didn't
That's
even see
nice.
what that said, but all I saw was adulthood, and now I'm kind of scared.
Said Jen lost her voice, Zach lost his adulthood, Eli lost his hair, which that last one
Oh.
doesn't make sense because he never had any.
exactly. I was gonna say, I'm basically like Caillou in real life.
I knew I hated you for a reason.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I
my
hate
mom didn't
Caillou
let
so
me
much.
watch Caillou because he was a terrible person.
he was kind of an asshole. Everyone knows that.
But no,
Caillou.
I was hoping that like I didn't go to school or work yesterday, and then we had a snow day, so I was like, oh, I'm not like talking to anybody. So I thought maybe my voice would come back, but obviously the world just wanted me to come on here and have to try and explain all the glory that I saw and like hold me back from my excitement. So yeah, sorry everybody that you have to deal with this. This is actually a lot better than it was yesterday though.
Well, I think everyone's definitely enjoying it. I think your students would have enjoyed it more, honestly. But
Yeah,
If you
I mean,
start, I feel like you have like the perfect like pitch and tone to like do like a New York kind of accent. So can you just start saying like things like coffee and you want some water?
oh yeah, would you like to go get a cup of coffee?
that actually really does sound like a New Yorker. That's really good.
I'm horrible with like accents and all that stuff. Like basically all I can do is like an extra Minnesotan accent. Like
I have a
don't know.
request. I have a
Oh
request.
gosh, it scares me.
Can you say, "Hey, I'm fucking walking here"?
Oh gosh, I've never said that word on this show.
I've never said that word on the show.
Okay, let me-
okay,
alright.
I'm sorry.
What-
I'm sorry.
All right, hey, I'm fucking walking here. It's like what am I doing?
It's like
I'm being like
you just-
censored by my own
you
vocal
just
cords.
censored yourself. You just literally bleeped yourself.
I'm being censored by my own vocal cords.
I feel like this would have been far. Like if this was just an audio show and we didn't say Jen was here, everyone would think we just had a guest on and we never
Oh,
introduced.
Like I'm like worried. Like what if my voice isn't better for like pack a day later, and then it's like
Yeah,
do it or not? I don't know.
We got her to cuss. I think that was
Yeah.
like a first. That was like.
Alter ego.
Did you guys ever see the first Jackass movie where Bam Margera got his mom to say the F word?
yeah.
He was like, "I swear I'll get her to say the F word before the end of this movie," and she ended up doing it. This feels like that. This feels like
I tried. I don't know if anything came out, but I tried.
Well, it
That's
was a
what
great effort.
she-
Yeah.
okay.
No,
Well,
no, I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
We
I was
appreciate-
thinking, I was just trying to make it work, but I guess not.
Trying to
Well-
force something, kind of like Kirk Cousins tried to force all those passes.
Oh, what a segue!
Oh, no.
Oh my god!
That's good. Kirk Cousins. I mean, what a special.
I got to see
performance.
like prime time Kirk Cousins. I've never been to a Vikings game. So like I got the full Vikings effect. I got all the interceptions. I got the missed field goals. I saw all the complaints as to why they got blown out. Like I got the full effect of what a Vikings game was, and it was
I
awesome.
don't remember fans going this hard on excuses after a loss. Like the Packers,
The loss that they claim they don't care about.
they don't care so much.
And it's like, why? Like, yeah, you fucking lost. You're still, you won the North. You're 12-4 now.
yeah, like, what do you-
Go to sleep. Like,
They
fucking, it's not that serious.
yeah, they're
Giant
gonna
grenade,
spend
and it like they didn't know what to do. It like
That
it,
was.
like
I
their
think he
already
traumatized,
oddly wired brains like were just eradicate. Like they didn't know what to do. Like all their brain cells left, and they couldn't comprehend it. Because I mean, that was awesome to see too, because it's like you see the breakup and like real time. Obviously, like it's harder to kind of see what yeah, it probably could have been called pass interference, but I mean, there's also a lot in like the entire year that could have been called. But to see him just like get up and gritty was amazing. Like Lambeau was electric, and then like the Nixon return, honestly, like that was the least stressful game of the year for me, because from the Nixon moment, like the vibe was so high, like nobody ever got low, everybody was loud the whole time, and everything, like they were just having so much fun, we were having fun, everything was going right for us, nothing was going right for them. And I mean, there was a couple Vikings fans sitting by, like there was actually a lot of Vikings fans who made the trip, which good for them. But it was fun just to kind of hear how they were, and they disappeared pretty fast at the end of the game. But yeah, I mean, there's like a million different things that happened during that game that I could like talk forever about.
Yeah, that game, I feel like you could not have picked, I mean, obviously this season, but maybe, I don't know the last time, I feel like maybe 2016 when they beat the Seahawks like 38-13 is the last time I felt like this much of just a domination. Like,
no, this was like by far, like I've been to some really cool games. Like I was at the Giants game when Rodgers threw the Hail Mary, and I got to be there for the Rodgers comeback against the Bears. But like this, like it's probably my favorite game that I've ever not only experienced, but just like regular season just watched, because it was like I got to be right there for so much of the action. And it's like I'm from here, and I've had to listen to Vikings fans talk, and I mean, rightfully so. They have their chance, like they're a winning team right now. It's their chance to be able to, say their words. But, it just felt good to be able to get this one and, really shove it down their throats. Yeah, now you can like make your comment, but like,
Hey,
but it just
the
it
fucking
felt
family
really good.
show.
yeah, come on.
Well, I'm already swearing, so now I might as well just, mark it explicit and call it good. And
Jen, just go
God,
off.
you're like a teen who has like one sip of alcohol and then spirals into like excessive drug
Yeah.
use. It's like you say one F word, and now you're like making all these sexual innuendos.
Yeah,
Be
come on,
serious.
one time,
You're like,
actually, I've actually
I'm-
Yeah, you're that kid at a sleepover who's like finally away from his parents, and he's just like, "Oh, I could swear, shit you" or something. That doesn't make sense.
that would
But-
be Jen.
is
Yeah.
that how you were as a child, Eli?
Oh yeah. If I got away from anyone that mattered to me, immediately I was just like, "Bitch," I don't know what I was doing, but it felt
It just
right.
like left your body.
Yeah, I had to let it out. But yeah,
But
as
that's
Joe
just what
says,
like
that's
this
what-
win and the rivalry does to me. It just brings out like I become a menace during rivalry week like this, and especially after a win when I haven't been able to talk my shit all year.
You were talking a lot of shit yesterday.
Yeah.
They
I still-
deserved it.
I still have your notifications on.
Yeah.
So
They
like
deserved it. They were all talking about, oh, I'm bookmarking this and coming back to it on Monday. I'm saving this. I can't wait to come back to this. And then I'm just kind of like, hey, where are you? Like, here I am. Let's talk all that crap.
Where are you?
sassy.
I can't even do like the Blink 182 because my voice won't do it.
No, but it was fun. Yeah, like yesterday, like the whole day, I kept getting the notifications, and I was just like, "Yo, these guys are taking L's all day long, and it's pretty great." It
Yeah,
was fun.
no, it was fun. And I will like say Vikings fans in person, like off Twitter, are like they're a lot better. They're more normal people. Oh my gosh. Like I do give the Vikings fans that I personally know a lot of kudos because they are nothing like the keyboard warriors on Twitter who have Kirk Cousins in his chains as their profile pictures. Like there is really civil and really good Vikings fans out there, and there's ones who actually make the rivalry fun. But then you just get like bozos who are complaining about the field and should have been a taunting and like all this stuff that was happening. It's like you guys make it like not fun for anybody. Like I could never imagine throughout, like we had a horrible season like most of the way through, and I can't imagine like trying to come up with all these conspiracy theories as to like why our team is so bad, aside from like just giving kudos to the other team or just like admitting like our team isn't playing well. Like yeah, there's factors here and there, But all these, yeah, there's just so much nonsense that I've seen, and it kind of like it fuels me even more because they all talk about like, oh, congrats on your Super Bowl 8-8, your 500 team, but like they're very upset about it still.
Yeah, no, they
Like, it's like they're trying to say like I'm not upset, like we don't care, but like they're crying through their keyboards, and it just like it fuels me and gives me
picture you
energy.
posted with the meme with the smiley face with the crying behind it. That is
Yeah.
that's the perfect definition for what Vikings fans are now. They are pretending like it doesn't matter. We won the division. You're not even going to make the playoffs. But in the same breath, all they can do is complain and make excuses as to why we're losing. They were losing by 38 points. And what was it, like in the early fourth quarter? Like, what a joke.
There was 7.5 minutes left before they actually got, and they got that 3 points on a 1-yard goal line stand.
Yeah.
Like
they lost yards on their only real scoring drive of the day. Like, that's how pathetic they were.
And then it's like they did that, and then Nixon immediately, was it right after that?
Yeah.
That Nixon had the return where he jumped like right in front of me, and it was like the coolest thing ever because it was like I was kind of hoping there would be a Lambeau Leap, but that quick in the game, it literally like I don't even know how to explain like how cool it is when you're there and you like see him running towards you, because that was like my corner of the end zone. And then it's like, oh, he's still running, and here comes the whole team, and he's in the stands, and everybody's like pushing down because everyone wants to be there, and like it just set the tone, and the vibes were so high from that moment on, and it's just like you knew what kind of game it was going to be from then, and yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. Yeah, and then they only had 3 points that whole time, and it's just it was amazing.
Now that I mean, I feel like every week we've been talking about Keyshawn Nixon and what he's done, but after this, I mean, I'm trying to think in my head. He's maybe had like 1 or 2 returns, I feel like, that haven't gone like at least for sure past the 25/30, but that weren't like really solid returns. And forget the Packers. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being biased, but I don't know the last time I saw a kick returner that was so consistently doing what he's doing with 30+ yard returns, and obviously 93 yards versus Miami last week, 105 yards versus the Vikings this week. You know, it might be crazy, but I'm thinking of guys obviously like Devin Hester, Josh Cribbs, you know, some of these guys that were just electric and you could not kick the ball to them. And I think we're getting to the territory where you can't kick the ball to Keyshawn Nixon. It's just too risky. So, Zach, I mean, looking at him, maybe you could look at someone on the Packers or someone else in the league, but who would you say? I can't think of anyone currently playing that's better than him at everything right now.
Currently playing, no, but like you got to keep in mind, like us growing up as like Packer fans and stuff, like we haven't had the luxury of like a consistent kick returner. Like the closest thing we had was like Randall Cobb. I know Will Blackman was pretty good here and there. I mean, the next closest was like what, Roel Preston in the late 90s.
Yeah, him or Allen Rossum was, you know.
Allen Rossum, yeah, early 2000s. He had some good stuff, but nothing that really like stands out. And I mean, like we're like Keyshawn Nixon is like making up for so much lost time. I feel like the Packers for the Packers. I mean, I haven't seen a guy where teams, and even Aaron Rodgers said this, like in his 18 years with the team, he hasn't seen teams purposely kick away from their return man, and he's been with the team since 2005. So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. And the Vikings didn't really score much on Sunday, so they didn't really have the chance to kick it away from Keyshawn Nixon. Like the one real kickoff was like they kicked it straight to him and he took it back 105 yards. Well, so it's like
it was funny too because like the reaction of the crowd, because it's like they kick it to him and he's obviously in the end zone, and all of a sudden he starts coming out and everyone's like, oh, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there he goes, and it's like he breaks free, and
he's like one of the only guys who like has that freedom. Like, hey, you feel good, take it out.
Did you see the clip of, was it him and Greg Joseph after the game kind of talking about it? Like I love that, just like special teams respect and the banter, and kickers are kind of like hockey goalies to me, where it's like I never really have a problem with them because they're just kind of like their own person on the team. So it's like, yeah, he missed a couple, which was fun to see, but I loved like the little banter afterwards. And yeah, I think I said it on Pack-A-Day when we did the injury report, like how Nixon was going to be like a huge factor in this game. And I mean, that's just what he does. He goes out there and he sets the bar, and Rogers talked about how he gets some first downs. Well, it's easiest when you get some touchdowns, and then it just gets the ball rolling from there.
Yeah, the offense obviously also playing well. The defense played well. I feel like a couple guys, I mean, Aaron Rodgers made sure to point out, but I think all of us have noticed. One, Devondre Campbell, since coming back from injury, I feel like has really just shored up the whole defense. Like, not that Quay Walker wasn't playing well, but having that experience running the defense in the middle, that is really, it's like, I see you guys looking in the comments. I got to see if it's like what
I
they say.
can't, dude. It's like they're right in front of my face. I can't
Yeah,
like
no,
avoid
I don't
them.
blame you.
It's like
It's
the
fine.
worst.
But yeah,
I hate
Devondre
all of them.
And
I hate
then
them so much.
I feel like Darnell Savage, after getting benched, definitely, he doesn't seem to be taking it badly. He's come out when he's had to play, and he's made plays. Obviously, the pick six being a huge one.
Well, he's their new nickelback now. It's before he got benched. Like, they started playing him there, and there was like a noticeable improvement in his play. He's not a liability anymore, and he played 50. I think it was 60% of the snaps last week against Miami. Plays a full. He played all the snaps against the Vikings. So, and the thing is, like, he's not a liability. He's not the same Darnell Savage I was playing back there at free safety. I can't deal with these people. He's so much better closer to the line of scrimmage where he's able to be more active towards the ball. And these are things that we've been talking about all the time. Stop fucking smiling, Eli.
Sorry, I just gotta do it. All right, I'll control myself.
No, forget it. Just move on.
Yeah, well, as you said, Savage and Campbell, well, I mentioned that, but either way, both playing very well. But another kick, I mean, I just feel like not mentioning Mason Crosby's 56-yard field goal, potentially my favorite thing I've ever seen, ever. That, Jen, were you in that end zone where Mason took that field goal?
No, that was the other one.
Wow, you shouldn't have even gone to the game. You suck. No.
Sorry.
I assume you must have really appreciated that, being the Mason Crosby. Was the sister you're with the huge Mason Crosby fan, or was that your other sister?
My younger sister is like the Mason Crosby fan of the family, but no, that wasn't the one that was with me. But I mean, we still all appreciate Mason Crosby, so it was still really cool to see.
Yeah, I would definitely hope so. It was cool to see. I feel like also just a nice confidence booster for him as we head into the playoffs, which we will be heading into. But Zach, I feel like you have not had a chance. Like, any just
is like in like a little dark shadow, like
because of his hat. Yeah, he also right now he kind of looks
very like irritated with the world, and
he looks like a mugshot right now. A real serial killer, real Dahmer vibes tonight, Zach. But what were some of your? I feel like there's so many, so it's hard to pinpoint. But like your main things coming out of this massive blowout win over the Vikings, what were some of like the biggest takeaways for you from the Packers side?
Well, the defense is playing up to their potential, and I think it's probably going to be enough to save Joe Barry's job. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but this is a conversation that we need to have.
I know,
because it's probably going to end up happening. They're doing this without Rashawn Gary. They're doing this without Eric Stokes. They picked up Justin Hollins and Kingsley Enagbare. He's been just a diamond in the rough that they found. They traded back and managed to still draft him. So I'm sorry, I can't stay focused.
Well, I didn't do anything.
Not you. These fucking assholes in the comments.
That's great.
But no, they're playing up to the potential, and I feel like this is the kind of defense everybody was kind of looking at as like this is what they could be when they're playing to their potential and they're playing within Joe Barry's scheme. I think some of the personnel changes they've made, allowing Rudy Ford back there, you have a safety that you could trust on the back end, and that gives you the freedom to play Darnell Savage at the nickel. Jair Alexander, he's hit his stride. He's not the same guy that got burnt by Equanimeous St. Brown a couple weeks ago. Like, he's beginning to go back to that Ja Island player, like nobody wants to throw in his direction. And I mean, when you have one corner that completely takes away the, one side of the field, that's big. And I think now Joe Barry is kind of trusting his players to roll, make their own decisions, play their style of defense. He's trusting them. He's putting things in their hands. And Ryan Wood even wrote about that in the Green Bay Press Gazette. He wrote about that in the story about how Joe Barry consulted with Jair Alexander, consulted with Rasul Douglas to get their opinion on how they should approach covering Justin Jefferson and combating the Vikings passing attack. So,
how dare they use a safety though?
Huh?
Yeah,
How dare they use a safety?
Oh yeah, I know.
well, I
But yeah.
wish I read that, but Ryan Wood blocked me for some reason, which I'll never fully know why.
He
but
used to have really like thin skin, very weird. Like I've gotten into like 2 arguments with him before, but he's never blocked me.
I don't think I've ever even interacted with him, and then he just blocked me. So Ryan Wood, if you're watching this, what's going on, guy? That's all I got to say to
Yeah,
you.
I don't think.
What's
I don't
going
think he's
on?
watching.
What's
I don't
going
think he's
on,
watching
guy?
this.
What do you have Jen say before about the cigarette? Give me a fucking cigarette. But I can't do a New York accent, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, he probably wouldn't take you seriously with your one string.
I know, by the way. Well, it's right here, and I was almost going to do it before the show, but it was
I didn't
frustrating.
even notice that.
I got one string, yeah.
Dude, just just fucking pull it out.
No. Because it's right here. Like if it was all the way through, I would just pull it out. But I have faith that I could push it through the hole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew that was fucking coming.
Yeah. A very Chris.
Yikes.
Can I just not wear a hat the rest of the show? I'll feel as naked as like Zach's face. I don't know. You know, I never wear hats.
Hey, my shit is growing back, man. It's been like 2 days.
And by the way,
All right.
I was hoping you were going to be more clean shaven than this because it doesn't make it as fun.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately for you, my hair grows back.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I wouldn't know, but
I know
either
you
way,
wouldn't.
Yeah. What did you just call me? Wow, how rude! How rude! In the new year, this is how you treat a person. By the way, happy New Year to both of you. I haven't seen you guys since.
Don't fucking say it. Don't shut up. Shut
Since
up. Don't say
last
it.
year.
Oh,
I didn't say it. I actually didn't. I didn't even think about that. That's how not cheesy I am. I wish I was though. But either way, 41-17, Packers dominating victory. I mean, I feel like everything that needs to be said about this game has been said, and everyone should just be enjoying it. Watch the highlights, just laugh at Viking fans. And yeah, we're going to enjoy this one, but there's an even bigger game to look forward to. Sunday Night Football, prime time, win and in for the Packers, potentially win and in for the Lions, depending on what happens with the Seahawks on Sunday afternoon. But yeah, Packers Lions Sunday night for all the marbles. Jen, just what do you want to see? I would say from the offense, but just from the Packers in general to try to slow down the Lions that are not the same Lions we know for the last many years.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a different Packers team than what the Lions first saw in that first meeting. So I'm honestly a little bit more nervous if they have nothing to play for. Like, there's something about the Lions when they can just come in and cause chaos when they have nothing to play for. That makes me a little bit more nervous. But yeah, I mean, just continuing, like the Vikings game, all 3 aspects of the game were on point. They were all doing their job. And I really just think that's what it's going to take is just everybody coming in and playing their game and continuing to, play as one, have fun. When this team is having fun, they're playing better. Everybody just kind of seems to be in their flow right now. So I think that, yeah, it's going to be a very, very different matchup that we see. But it's also the Lions who they have some talent, but also, they've gotten rid of some talent since the last time we saw them. So I'm very excited, but I'm also, nervous because of everything that's on the line.
The way you just said it, like, the way you said excited, like I know you were trying to say excited, but because you couldn't say
I'm so excited. I swear.
I sound excited. It was the least excited I've ever heard anybody. But yes, it is going to be an exciting game. And I kind of agree. I feel like the Lions, if they have a ton to play for, will choke and fail a lot sooner than a Lions team that just wants to ruin our lives, because that just doesn't seem nice. But yeah, Zach, how are you feeling about this game? And also, do you think there's any difference? I mean, I'm sure there's a difference, but how do you feel about Seattle winning or losing and what it does for the Lions?
Well, yeah, no, I think any team, not even just the Lions, I think any team, when they're allowed to play loose and just throw the whole kitchen sink at their opponent, then that's a more dangerous football team. I mean, look at the Packers the last couple of years. They go into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, home field advantage, first round bye, all the pressure on them, and they have nothing to show for it. I think if a team can sneak into the playoffs, like for example, if the Packers get in, then they're the number 7 seed. Everything is still on the line. They still have everything to play for. But I think when you're the underdog and nobody is really expecting you to make some kind of crazy run, it's a lot like 2010. A lot of people didn't really think, that they would get hot at that time, but they did. Aaron Rodgers came back from that concussion, missed the Patriots game, comes back, lights the Giants, just absolutely embarrasses them, beats the Bears in the finale. That was a close one, but then they go on a 3-game road run in the playoffs and end up winning the Super Bowl. So it's just about getting hot at the right time. And I think the Packers right now, I'll say it flat out. I don't think anybody can beat the Packers right now. And that might be a supreme vote of confidence and maybe way beyond like what they deserve, because they've only shown us a 4-game winning streak. Two of those games were against bad teams. So that might feel a little premature, but I just feel like everything on this team is clicking right now. Like against the Vikings, that was their first time, I think, playing complimentary football, not just all season, but I think in years.
Yeah.
Where all three phases were getting it done. They were moving the ball in offense. They were just absolutely clamping down on the Vikings on defense. And special teams, like they have real guys rising up on special teams. And now they have a kick returner. So if those other 2 phases between defense and special teams are able to continue this trajectory that they're on, Aaron Rodgers doesn't need to be Superman.
Yeah.
I described him against the Vikings as being above average. And I think that's all not above average. I said perfectly average. And that's all he needs to be. If those 2 phases are clicking, make the throws you need to make, get the running game going, just be perfectly average, and this team can go on a run. I think they could beat anybody right now.
Right now, I mean, I would have to agree. Just looking, I mean, the confidence they have, the momentum they have, the way they're playing, like you said, in all 3 phases is something we really don't see out of this team for sure. Not in all 3, whether it's special teams that's failing or the defense that's failing or at times even the offense. But to see what they're doing right now is really exciting. And also specifically on special teams, not only is Nixon just such a obviously game changer himself, but I feel like the rest of the unit, knowing that they actually have a guy back there, a returner, that they're really something could happen any kickoff. I feel like we all saw the hole they created for Nixon on that kickoff return on Sunday. I feel like they're just playing with more juice, even the blockers. And we all know Packers kick return teams have been awful, not just the returners, but the blockers as well in years past. So right now, I just feel like they all have this confidence, like you said, that they just can't be beat. They've won 4 in a row now, and you could say the competition wasn't the best. Well, the last 2 weeks were definitely some solid teams, one of them a division winner and a top 3 seed. And then the other 2 teams, look, the Bears and the Rams, but they're not, the Texans or the Broncos. Russell Wilson, what a guy. But it's been a fun 4-game stretch, and I think they are feeling about as good as you could possibly feel as a team. But Jen, how about you looking at this Lions game? How about looking at the Lions offense maybe? What would you say scares you the most for the Packers defense? Like, we knew we had to shut down Justin Jefferson. How do you see that for the Lions?
I mean, yeah, Amon-Ra, the St. Brown, is a huge target. So I think just being able to kind of do what you did to Jefferson to someone like him is going to be huge. And they don't have Hawkinson anymore, so it takes away a huge target for them. So, and I mean, Jamal Williams, a friendly face. Swift, I think we did end up facing him. But, I mean, I just don't see how you can stop the Vikings and then not stop the Lions. So I just kind of want to see more of what we saw on Sunday against this Lions team and just, continue. Like, don't fix what's not broken. At this point, we finally figured it out, I think. And I think just kind of go in with that same game plan.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be hard to, I don't want to even think about it, but it would be really hard to imagine winning these 4 games, and especially the way they just beat down on Minnesota, to not be able to finish it out against the Lions. But I feel like I don't think this team is the kind of team that where they were at 4-8 to after winning, even though you have a nice 4-game win streak, I don't think they're the kind of team that's just going to be like, oh, well, we're basically here, so now it's just going to happen. I know they're going to go out there and play and know that they have to get it done. But it is, a little scary because the Lions are definitely a more talented team than usual, and you just don't want to see your team feel like, well, we're here, so it's just going to happen. It feels so like destiny and all this, but you have to actually go out and make it happen. You can't just say the storyline works, so it's going to happen. You have to do it. So for me, I would say, at least Packers defensively, I think stopping it, make Jared Goff beat you in 20-degree weather, because the last I looked, I couldn't find the exact for like 100% up to like a week ago, but he is awful in games below 30 degrees that I've found. Like I don't think he's won a game. I know for sure he started his career like 0-4. Maybe he's won one since, but he's just been very bad. And we know the Lions with Swift and Jamal, that's where the strength really is. So you stop them there, force Goff to beat you. The defense, the secondary has been super opportunistic, forcing turnovers, pick them off a couple times, take advantage of it. And I think you put the game away, obviously, as we always say on the show, with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, who has definitely been heating up. What is it, 6 touchdowns now in 5 games, Zach?
Yeah.
So A.J. Dillon, I think like we waited at least 10 weeks to even bring up that it was not as great of a start to the season as we would have liked. And he immediately flipped it. So AJ, that's awesome. Aaron Jones, I hope you get back to 100% because I always want to see more touches for him. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident going into this game. And yeah, I wanted to get there. I kind of wish it wasn't Sunday night because I'm now going to be anxious all day on Sunday. I didn't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, Sunday Night Football, it's kind of exactly what you would hope for. So let's just jump into our score predictions, unless either of you have something specific about the game you want to talk about. All right, so Zach, why don't you pick us off? No, Jen, I feel like with your voice and, the chat is all over the place, with Inner Bush corn dogs. That's all I saw in the chat. It's just the 4 words I saw. So dog at Inner Bush. But Zach, how do you see this big primetime game going between the Packers and Lions?
I think the Packers win. I think they get that 7 seed. I think they beat the Lions. I'm gonna say 30-13.
Ooh, I like it. Confidence. That is good. 30-13.
Like you said, I mean, I think stopping the run is going to be their biggest issue. And I mean, the Packers have one of the worst run defenses in football, and the Lions have arguably one of the best offensive lines in football. So it's no secret why DeAndre Swift and why Jamal Williams and even Justin Jackson and Craig Reynolds have had some nice runs this season. They're the backup. So it's like, it's no secret why they've been able to produce the way they have. That offensive line has kicked ass. And I think that's what this game is really going to boil down to. And it's going to be a battle in the trenches, and whichever line gets the best of the other, who gets the better push. Yeah, I think that's going to be like the biggest X factor, at least for me, is just stopping that running game. Because I mean, no one is scared of Jared Goff. I like the Lions passing attack. They can get it done, but Jared Goff, I know what number you were talking about, the stats about him playing in the cold, him playing on the road. He's not very good. It's a lot different when he's, within the confines of Ford Field. And I said it a few times. If either one of these last 2 games were on the road, I would have felt very differently about them. Like if the Packers were going into Minnesota, I don't know about that. If they were going into Detroit, I don't know. The Packers have, as of late, struggled inside of Ford Field. They either struggle or it's like a closer game than is expected.
I feel like it's always coming down to a Mason Crosby kick if we're winning at all. So,
against the Lions, definitely. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking now, not to cut you off, but we held the Lions to 15 points the first time.
It was 15-9, yeah.
Yeah, so the Lions have been scoring like 30 points a game. So that's actually pretty encouraging, I guess, that we did that in Detroit. So hopefully they repeat that this week. Yeah, so 30-13, Zach. Jen, what are you seeing in this game? Are you as bashful as Zachariah?
Bashful? Like,
bashful. Bashful.
I was bashful. I mean, before Zach even said his score, I was thinking like 31-20, just because given all the circumstances, I think the Lions are still going to come in there and, play good football. And I still think that this team gets it done. And I think that the offense, it was nice to get a pick 6 and to get a touchdown off the kickoff return, but they're just going to need to keep putting up their points. And I think it's going to be really important that they just keep finding their way into the end zone. So yeah, I think we've been like one of the most optimistic trios of the Packers. So I think we're going to just continue it into this last week and hopefully into a playoff run.
I like to hear that. All right, so you got 30-13, 31-20, and I'm actually going to be a little more conservative about it. I don't know why. I just feel like these play-in games are always kind of tight. I'm going to go
Sorry.
24-16 Packers. I still think, they should be pretty comfortable throughout the game, but it will probably be, or at least in my opinion, be a little bit stressful towards the end, but we'll get it done. And yeah, go into the playoffs, 7th seed. No way they can move up to the 6th seed unless I'm wrong on that, but I'm almost certain 7th seed's all they can do. And just not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it seems more than likely that the 49ers will be the matchup then, and we'll worry about that then. But right now, Lions, the only thing on the Packers' minds going into this weekend. And just before we head out, as always, make sure at the bottom of the screen to check out Game On Wisconsin on Twitter at Game On WI and subscribe on YouTube at Game On Wisconsin. Make sure to give Andrew, our wonderful producer, a follow on Twitter at Mertens_Andrew. Zach, always breaking all the latest news for the Packers on Twitter at @ItZacharyJ. And if you want to see Vikings fans just get dunked on all day long, Big Mac _4. And then, of course, myself at Book of Eli _NFL. Everyone, thank you for watching the chat. You guys were a lot of fun tonight. I enjoyed that. And we will see you next week, hopefully, likely, almost certainly heading into the playoffs. Everyone, have a great night.